I gotta do it without saying welcome. Ready? Welcome back to Fabulous. I'm your host, D.A. Burton, and this is Subculture Death. What is subculture death? We're just going to take a broad look at the death of culture, pop culture mostly, where it is, where it was, maybe even where it's going to be. I'm joined today by Isaiah Santiago. Thanks for coming out.
No problem.
How you doing today?
Chilling.
Good. I asked you on this venture, there's a generation gap between us, so when I'm looking at culture death, I'm like, oh, I remember when it was this way, or instead of looking at our phone while we're sitting at the doctor, we're just miserable. I miss that. And I always like what you have to say when we get in conversation around here. But, I'm like, is this a generational thing? Is it evolution of technology? And so much that passes with time becomes nostalgic, even if it was kind of miserable to begin with. So I want to start off with people. Now, not just people in general, but the styles, the subcultures. Have you ever seen The Breakfast Club?
No.
It's an older film, 80s, I think. And, the premise is there's 5 kids. They're all different styles, and they all get called in for detention.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you've got one kid, he's a jock, kind of angry, athletic dude. You've got the prep. You've got the goth girl. You have the nerd. And then another, like, bad boy, kind of like he would ride a motorcycle or something. And they just all come together, but those were sort of true groupings. I mean, of course, everyone wasn't one of those 5. There's also just sort of, like, normal dude. But, I don't see that as much anymore. It's like we're all kind of blended in. Like, oh, he's maybe a little hip-hop, but what is hip-hop now? Like, when I moved to California, all the hip-hop style people were wearing skinnier jeans than I was. And that's coming from Chicago, and it still looked like 95, like shirtless or whatever, shorts down.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Where do you see with these different genres of people?
I think things have kind of just like mixed. There's no specific for anybody. I mean, yeah, it's a long line, but I mean,
well, when you go out, can you easily pick somebody out and be like, oh, that's a punk rocker, or that's a nerd, or whatever, generically?
sometimes you can look at it and you're just like, yeah, he's definitely weird. Like that guy, he can sit around and play games all day or read a book or this, that, and the third, but it's just like, now it's like, everything's affected by different things, and we kind of go under the idea of anybody can be anything, or everybody can be something. So your clothing style may have been branched off of your parents or your friends, but then where you're into between watching TV, listening to music, that may have been affected by your parents or your siblings.
Yeah, you're definitely restricted when you're young, unless you get rebellious.
Yeah.
Like, I got this huge pair of Nike, like, parachute pants, kind of during my little, like, I was into basketball and all this before I returned to, I don't know, rocker or whatever. And, but they were, like, real thin material. And my grandparents, they would not, I couldn't go out, and she called them, like, bloomers or something. So I'd roll them up as, like, windbreaker type pants as soon as I got to school. And they were so big, I could just pull them on over my Arizona jeans. But it was restricted, like, and also, like, if you don't have your own money, you just kind of stuck wearing what they tell you. But, especially once people are adults, you're kind of making your own choice. But, and it used to feel more like, oh, if you're the goth kid, like, you're pretty much hanging out with goth people or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you still see that sort of separation, or are people not separated enough to segregate themselves?
I was kind of like growing up. I was in the middle of that weird subtle change where everything's just blurred. So it was like growing up. It was like you could definitely see the groups. There were the nerds, smart kids, the 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 bullies. I guess would be the easiest way to put it. And then it's like as time kind of went on, it was just everybody was kind of just everybody.
Yeah, a little piece of
Like,
everything.
man, and it was like for a while I thought like maybe it's just because like my neighborhood, like my area, we aren't like it's not a large place, so it's like you go from elementary to middle to high, and you're seeing a lot of familiar faces. Not many new faces other than new transfers and just other people you haven't had the opportunity of seeing. Like my district only had two middle schools, so you knew half the district as it was because you went to one of the two schools. And then it was like towards the end of middle school that it was like everything's kind of blended because there's just like some type of shows were just like it was considered weird to watch. Like you were odd for watching cartoons when you're like 15 or watching something that isn't American made.
Mm.
And
That's so big now.
yeah, and then now reaching
Everybody's
out
about it.
to places that aren't from here is just that's the new wave. Reaching out and doing things that are out of your what's the word? I guess out of
Kind of
your
sphere of
your area.
influence. Yeah. Well, pre-internet or before it was really swinging, like in your pocket all the time. It was very avant-garde and special to be like, oh, I'm into Swedish black death metal. Like, oh, Sweden, where is that? Now it's like, it's just as close as Ohio,
Yeah.
unless you're really going to go there. But as far as traveling there culturally, um, especially for the pop stuff. Um, so do you think that some new subcultures have emerged instead of it just being, oh, the punk rock or the hip hop? Is there like
Um,
anything new? Any sort of new group where you could be out and you'd say, oh, that person's an XYZ?
there's been a lot of things that have kind of just like kind of come out there now, and I noticed that the reason why it tends to blur now is especially because of social media and etc.
Hmm.
Like you can find anything and everything in a blink of an eye, and then
Yeah.
what's blowing up, like everything that you see on your social media, say Instagram, it's all recommended to you based off of previous likes, dislikes, views, searches,
Some of that
etc.
stuff they put on, I'm like, where'd you get the idea I like this? You know?
Yeah, like
But I appreciate them sending me stuff I want to see, but some of it, I'm like,
it's
where'd you get
creepy.
the idea
It's
of that?
creepy. Like
Oh yeah,
yeah,
like, they're
like bro.
listening.
Yeah, like I'll be talking to my friends. I'll be like, yeah, I'm totally gonna start watching this now, and all of a sudden, all over Instagram,
Yeah,
I'll be like, man, can't wait for this new game to play this new game, and it's just like, hey, try this new game. I'm just
yeah,
like,
they're lurking, man.
I just wanted to get
They're lurking for sure.
yeah.
But what about celebrities? Because before, a lot of people like used to kind of copycat celebrities. Like, uh, I don't know, if you're hippie style or whatever, late 60s, you're looking at Hendrix or Joplin or these people, or 90s, Biggie and Tupac for your hip hop style. Like, or are they so mixed up, like they're not really like the celebrities? Do you see them representing a certain culture or genre of person?
I know we still have those distinct celebrities that stand out for certain topics, but I think a lot of people tend to be reaching out towards similar things now, since everything's a lot closer due to technology. It's like it's no longer just a singular group's idea or thought process or style. It's now all over the internet and everybody's seen it. Everybody thinks about it.
Yeah.
Like there's still like for hip hop, there's still definitely like figures that stand out in hip hop and pop, maybe rock and etc. But I think it's starting to become too like there's no distinctive line anymore.
Mm. Which, I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, you could go to Walmart and a grandmother's got purple hair. People, I've gone to doctors that have more tattoos than I do.
Yeah.
So, thinking back, I can remember, teenager having the long hair and people be like, freak.
Yeah.
It's like those same dudes got like tattoos now and pink hair, and it's, I mean, it's more comfortable, with the diversity. It's just sort of odd to see that cultural shift. So I'm with you. I think we are at like sort of a culturally leveled, sort of very diffuse style. It's less, it's less, it's more difficult to pick people up and say, okay, punk rock, nerd, whatever, and it's just people, and they're either out there or not. They're not. But what do you think it's going to look like 10, 20 years from now? We still going to keep just mixing it up, or do you think that it becomes beneficial to be sort of a one style, one group person?
I think it'll remain mixed up, but somehow there'll be a new label, which will then break off these new mixed groups into a singular category.
Mm.
Like, I don't even know how to put it. We have, I don't know, say people who are into rock, hip hop, and rap. At some point along the line, they might bring up a new term that just, those three are just now one word.
Yeah, something new to grab. Man, what would that look like? It'd be kind of like, I don't know, you do like a mohawk, some Jordans,
Baggy
maybe
pants.
yeah, and a cowboy hat. Throw a country in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different, but I'm kind of with you on that. Although, yeah, what do they say? It's like a 10-year cycle for styles, especially with fashion. But people put it on for a time, like a baggie. It's no longer like, well, this is what I'm about. I listen to these bands. I read these books. It's like, oh yeah, I was into that last winter.
Yeah.
And not that anyone should have to be like a cartoon character, like, Batman Closet or Ronald McDonald. It's just the pinstripes everywhere you go.
Now I noticed that people are now just following a wave. With social media, you tend to see a lot of, oh, this is real trendy. This is what's in right now.
Trendy used to be bad. Like, you didn't want. I mean, if you were counterculture, but is counterculture dead? Or I guess now, like, the cool stuff used to be counterculture, but now that's like mainstream, so it's almost counterculture to be conservative or, kind of go there, but that wouldn't feel very rebellious, get some Dockers, tuck your shirt in, some Dockers will make your
Like,
booty pop.
It sounds basic now, but I mean, you can tend to see, like, there's, like, you have your mainstream wave, and then there's, like, little branches that kind of branch off, and it gets weirder and weirder as it goes out and farther out. So it's like, it's no longer exactly like this is what's in, but then there's people who just aren't gonna like what's in. It's like, there's people who are into this, but then, like, somebody's like, what if I took it a notch higher? And now it's just like, what is wrong with you? Like,
yeah. Well, it starts with taking a little
you...
element to something, and then, next thing you know, your friend who was just like, oh, maybe I'll just get a leather jacket. Then the next time they show up, they got, 8-inch boots or whatever, or some football pads on, whatever.
They got alligator skin pants.
Oh, I went through this thrift store, speaking of the gator skins, and the those like magic genie boots that like Central America, they'll be like ostrich and mint green. And the toe on these things like another foot. I was like, I almost wanted to buy them ironically. I mean, they were masterfully made and it was at a discount, but I'm like, where do I wear these hot pink and these hot pink ostrich boots? It's like Caballero.
That's something you put on display. You're just like, yeah, I bought those. Why? It was just appealing.
Yeah, just a nice piece of craftsmanship. And but I'd be tempted to wear it. Really, what stopped me from it is like, I don't know what kind of pants you wear with these. Is it pants tucked in to the ostriches or or over the top? Uh, I don't
Wouldn't know
know.
until you try them.
Yeah, next time I'll never let that an opportunity like
Yeah.
that pass me again. Uh, so speaking of stuff passing you by, were there any like products, it could be food or whatever that you really liked as a kid or even recently that they stopped making?
I remember this was just out of pure nostalgia. Like as I got older, it was just I kind of lost the sweet tooth for sweets. They had at McDonald's these small like cinnamon buns. It was like I think it was a small box, but then it
Yeah.
had like four inside of it, and they were like the best thing ever. And it was I used to go to school in the city for like it wasn't long. It was just like the first few years of my life, but I would always go down to the Bronx with my father, and so we would have to wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning because he had to be there at like 6, 7, and he'll drop us off at my grandparents. But on the way there, we would stop at the McDonald's right by our house, and we'd always buy that and I'd buy an orange juice. And then after I started going to school here, I hadn't had the opportunity to go to McDonald's that much. Finally, one year, we're like, yeah, let's go to McDonald's before we go to the city, and I'm just like, oh, this has been a while, and he was like, yeah, it has. And so I'm like, let's go get the usual. We get there, and they're like, we don't sell those
The
anymore.
mini cinnies.
I was like, what?
Yeah, and yet the damn rib comes back all the time.
Yeah,
Where's the comeback for the mini cinnies?
exactly.
They got us messed up. Well, something I used to like is they used to have this drink. It was kind of themed with the Ghostbusters. It was a high C drink called Ecto-Cooler. It was bright, slimy green. Looked like antifreeze, but it tasted way better. Hey, can I redo that? Hey, hold on, this is for our advertiser. I gotta be.
I mean, you can redo anything. That's what
Well,
I-
just pause it there.
Oh, you mean stop the recording?
Yeah, well, yeah, just put a cut there. So what I was wanting to tell you about is they used to make this drink. It was kind of connected to the Ghostbusters. It used to have the little slimy guy.
Mhm.
It was their mascot. It was made by High C. It was called Ecto-Cooler. It was bright, slimy green. I can't say this. Again, sorry, Sam.
I mean, you can always question it.
I know. Okay, we gotta do it again. One more time.
That's going on the bloopers.
All right. Why this wasn't that funny when I wrote it. So they used to make this drink from High C. It was called Ecto-Cooler. It was bright, slimy green, looked like antifreeze, but it tasted a lot better. And keep your cats indoors, by the way. Have you ever tried that? You ever seen Ecto-Cooler?
Never had the chance. I've had Mountain Dew.
Well,
but-
you're gonna get your chance because it's back. That's
Yeah.
right, it's back. Ecto-Cooler may have lost its classic mascot, Slimer, but it returns with that bright citrus flavor that we've always known and loved or are about to love. Culture comes and goes, but good foods and good drinks are eternal. And this is one for the ages, so get out there and get yourselves a 10-pack High C Ecto-Cooler. So, you ever seen the Ghostbusters movie? Or any of them?
I've seen the remakes, and
The remakes
I've seen
with the kids or the cast of the newer cast, the remake where they
I
it's
remember
like
the one.
Melissa McCarthy.
I didn't like this one, but I remember the one with all like the ladies in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even because of cast. It was just a story. I was like, where was the story going?
Yeah, they could have done more right by them.
They chose a great cast though, because they were funny, but it was just like I feel like it was just out of whack. The story. I was like, I didn't know where they were going with it. I only remember bits and pieces of it too, so I was like, dang.
Yeah, it's always hard to come back on a classic unless it's High C Ecto-Cooler. But that brings me to another topic I wanted to get into. The movies. Primarily movie theaters. They say that theaters are dying. They are collapsing. But most of the record holders are recent. And I need to pause to get my record sheet. Oh, I gotta have the stats for you.
You had the exact like formula for the ecto-cooler. The light is doing wonders on the hair.
Oh yeah.
It gives like the extra glisten when you.
Fluff it up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So, have you heard that though? They say the movie theaters are dying, they're bankrupt.
I know Doris spoke about it, but
Well, what's your impression of the movie theaters? You think they're booming, or that it's a big part of culture, or you think it's kind of going away with the streaming services overtaking them?
I think it's a mix of both, because these companies still want their money from these theaters. So, like, even Disney, they made the new Spider-Man movies and etc. And they're like, it's going to be in theaters. And then when it's out of theaters, you're going to have to wait a long time. It's going to be on disc. Then it'll be on a streaming service.
Yeah, so it's that feeling of missing out or having to get to it.
Yeah.
Um,
And then some people just, they want the experience of going to watch it in theaters. So they're like, yeah, sure, why not? We'll get more money out of you that way.
what's it take to get you to the movie theater?
A good Marvel movie.
Yeah. Well,
That
those
and the
are
popcorn.
Yeah, the popcorn's always a reason to go. So, would your impression have been that movie theaters are doing really well, or would you have thought, maybe it's kind of dying off?
I think it's had its ups and downs during the recent years, especially with like one person will go and watch the movie, give it a bad review on the internet. Other people go and watch and they're like, yeah, you know what, that guy's right. And then all of a sudden, like, nobody's gonna go watch that movie now because it's bad all of a sudden. Like, somebody gave the review for you, and well, you heard it all over the internet. It's all over Instagram. They're telling you how bad the movie's been going. Like, I remember the Black Adam movie with The Rock.
Mm.
I never got to see it
Because people were hating on it.
yeah, a lot of people hated on it. They ended up taking it out of theaters early.
I mean, DC
And-
kind of messed up anyway.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Well, my I could tell you my impression, at least just feeling it out. I'm like, oh no, the movie theater's gonna go. Where am I gonna make a cheap date? You know, gonna have to come up for some steak or something. But then I was looking at the numbers, and so I'll just give you some part of the top 10. All right. So, and this is lifetime grossing. Number 1, Avatar. Original one. 2, Avengers Endgame. 3, Avatar The Way of Water. 4, Titanic. 5, Star Wars Episode 7, of all things. 6, Infinity War, another Avengers film. 7 was Spider-Man No Way Home. 8, Jurassic World. 9, Lion King. And not even the old one either, this new one. And number 10, The Avengers. How many of those movies do you think came out before the year 2000?
I mean, since I vividly remember watching
Most
most of
of
those
them?
movies,
Yeah.
since most of those movies, I'm pretty sure about like 1 or 2.
Yeah, just one, Titanic. And the only other one that was pre-2010 was Avatar. And that was '09, so you're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
So then, but then that begs the question, is it just top-heavy, the eventful ones? Like you were saying, you see the Marvel ones, but that's like an IP with like a deep, rich history. There's games and stuff attached to it. It's not just going to the movie for the movie's sake. There's more attached to it, and the visuals are so large.
Yeah, like I find myself for the Marvel movies because some of them are just not good. Like they were interesting. But
Yeah, which one did you hate?
it wasn't good. It was I really enjoyed their take on it, but it could have been a whole lot better.
Which one?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh,
That,
yeah,
that
I
was a
like
good
Natalie
movie,
Portman,
but it was
too.
just like I felt like it needed more for some reason, and the ending was just like,
How do you waste a Christian Bale performance?
I don't
Like,
know.
have you
man.
seen The Machinist?
No.
I think he made that right after Batman, and he dropped like 100 pounds or something. Like he's about to die to play this role, and you know he goes hard. And he was like a cameo in that. I'm like, dude, you really just blew your load there doing Christian Bale like that? I don't know. But it's still like a big eventful thing. So I'm like, how are these theaters dying? Like, what are they doing when, what, you got Endgame 2019 grossed about 2 billion, 800 million, something like that.
I mean, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. That
Yeah, it
movie got
was.
props.
So something like that should keep a theater alive, right? Or maybe they're
Yeah.
just losing out on the little independent things.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm pretty sure it's that. Like, most people come for those big name brand movies. Like,
Yeah.
everybody waits for Marvel, even DC movies. Like, they've been blowing it recently, but it's like they still go and they watch it. And like, oddly enough, like some of those randomest things got like high views. Like, it was like, oh my god, this is a really great movie. Like, did you hear about the release of the Barbie movie?
No, what was that?
It was about the toy Barbie.
Oh, yeah. Like Barbenheimer or whatever, like them with Oppenheimer. Yeah, that one will
Yeah.
probably be on if this list was updated. Well, actually, good segue, because that is on this list. Domestic yearly box office scores. Number one release of this year was Barbie, and so far, or as of November 13th, yearly box office was 7 billion, excuse me, almost 800 million. So 7.8, and it was less than that last year. 21 with COVID was like 4 billion, 2 billion, 2020, and prior to that we have a lot of years of 11 billion, and so honestly the highest numbers, and that's not adjusting for inflation, have been, they didn't hit double digits until '09 with 10 billion. Yeah, and then you go back, to what a supposed heyday. I don't know when that would have been. When did The Lion King come out? Like
Man, I don't
93
remember.
or something? 4 billion. I'd have to do the numbers to see what that is adjusted for inflation, but even if it was double, if a 1990 dollar would be 2 now, that's 4 billion. Double it to 8, and then you're still not at these peak numbers.
Yeah.
So where do you think the movie theaters are going?
I think it's gonna have this downhill, but I wouldn't see it going completely out.
It's still an event that's like kind of part of our culture, right?
Yeah, and then it's also just like at times it's cheaper going to the movie to make that one time purchase to watch it than to keep paying for these streaming services, because it's about like $10 just to go see a movie, where you're paying $10 a month to go see a movie.
Right. And we nowadays we have different costs than before. Your cell phone's $100 a month. We didn't.
Yeah.
Although like the landline, especially if you had any relatives, they would crush you with the long distance. It'd be like somebody calling you from jail type money. Like
Yeah.
so
And then even still, like, it's not like it's all in one spot. It's not all on Netflix. It's not all on Hulu. We have other streaming services. We have, I think, one of the newest movies that came out. I think it's the Five Nights at Freddy movie.
yeah,
That's on Peacock.
already.
Yeah. So
It's
I
probably
like
a DVD.
like
if anyone
when it
buys
came
those.
out. When it came out, like a bunch of people were just like sharing each other's Peacock's accounts, just to watch it, because they're like, we gotta watch it. We gotta watch it. It's gonna be a great movie. And I'm just like, I don't have Peacock, and I don't have the money to pay for Peacock. I pay for Netflix and
Right,
Hulu,
I
and that's
usually
it.
pay for one streamer at a time, and then
Yeah, I pay as needed.
like right now there's a number of Disney Plus shows I need to catch up on. Some Star Wars. I don't even think I saw the most recent Mandalorian season.
I let my family pay for that one. They share the account.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
the sharing is caring.
I pay for the Netflix because
No, they don't let you share anymore though, right? Or you gotta
it's weird.
bump it up, pay some more.
Like it They said that, I know with Netflix, they said that basically you had to like, I don't even know how they were gonna make this work accurately. Basically, you had to like connect it to your home Wi-Fi essentially, and every once in a while you had to like connect with that same Wi-Fi and log in again
Oh,
using that. But I'm
all
just
kind of
like,
hoops.
I was like, I don't think that's gonna work. And then I think they scrapped that idea, and they're still trying to find a decent way to like catch people. But I think it's unnecessary. I'm like, at that point, if you're really that terrified, like pay. I don't know,
Yeah.
or limit the amount of devices that can be logged in. But even that's a little over the top. But
So we have easier access to films, and like you were saying with the Five Nights at Freddy's, it's like almost immediate. So you're not really experiencing much FOMO. You know, there's
yeah,
no FOMO, no no feeling of missing out on this. Uh, if you have, unless it's something that you got to see straight away, but or it used to be like, oh, you know, I got to get in there quick before Tommy down the street tells me the ending.
yeah.
Uh,
It's not even just that. Like I know I even when I was younger, like Netflix came around. I think I was like 10, 11 or so,
yeah,
something like that. Like we had gotten it around then, and even then, like I still preferred to go to the movies, despite the fact that most of the movies I wanted to watch would end up on Netflix. But it was just because they had the fancy speakers, they had the big screen. Like I want to stare, I want to like crane my neck staring at this 4K image in max quality. I want to feel the rumbling
yeah,
of a
yeah.
train ramming into a wall,
Oh, oh,
like
oh.
completely like
Yeah,
go through your body, like the
yeah,
bass is going boom, boom, boom. But now you got these fancy headphones. It's like, I mean, you still don't feel that nice rumbling feeling,
right.
but it's just like it's a whole lot more easier now buying movie theater like equipment for home usage. Like they've had home theater equipment for a long time, but it's like I saw this Samsung speaker that it's a small thing. It's just a singular bar, and then it has a separate box, and the bass on that thing is insane. You can feel it rumbling through your toes to your head.
So we got the good sound. We got the flat screen. Some people got big ass TVs, projectors. Don't have to go anywhere. You've already paid for it. Probably not going to wait more than a week from the release day.
Yeah.
So, what gets you to the theater? Just to be out? Just to be away from the house and be out doing something? Other
Yeah.
than, well, okay, let's subtracting the big over the top experience, the Star Wars, Marvel sized film, just for a slasher film or whatever, you know. Uh, I mean, it looks apparently somebody's buying movie tickets, so how they're going bankrupt, I don't know, but you know, as far as like this nostalgic look at culture, although I don't recall the last time I went to a show and the theater was popping or full. I can remember being younger and oh, I think it was like some of those early X-Men films. There were kids in the aisles doing cartwheels. They had the costumes on, just totally cranked up.
We still have some of those. Like I remember, I forgot which movie. They came out with that new Minions movie, and it focused on their like the past other Minions before they became Gru's like servants or whatever. Like how what led up to them meeting Gru. And for that movie, they had to ban people from wearing costumes because
Oh wow.
people, like when the movie first came out, the first 2 3 weeks, everybody's dressed up in like these massive minion
All
costumes.
these kids in the
So it's
circus
like,
peanut
yeah,
costume.
like one of my friends, they went to go see the movie early on, and they were like, bro, I had to take the picture. And like they were like, I'm risking copyright and everything because you got to see this. The movie's playing, and all you can see is full seats of just minions. The entire theater's minions, and then he takes a picture of himself, and he's wearing a minion costume too.
Oh yeah. See, yeah, I think those sort of big, sort of transcendent experiences like that will keep a theater alive somewhere. But that's like an event, and that requires an IP. It couldn't necessarily be, oh, you know, the next Tom Cruise action film. Like, what are you gonna dress up like for Mission Impossible? You know, you could maybe,
Fancy suit and tie.
yeah, yeah, briefcase.
Somebody finds like a floaty of like a with like a fancy car from the movie.
Yeah, I feel that.
They did that for Spider-Man too. Also had to
Yeah,
also
Spider-Man.
had to
That's
be
another
careful about
easy
that.
one to really jump into and take apart. Or
Yeah.
any
The amount of
Marvel
people wearing
character.
Spider-Man masks. Like
Yeah.
I went and saw the Miles Morales movie, the second one a while back. I
And
think
that's
I
an
watched it
animated
pretty
one,
early
right?
on too. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
animated.
I heard it's
I watched
good.
it pretty early on. It's really trippy because of the art styles, but it was visually breathtaking.
I
But
gotta
it was
see that.
also just very hard to focus when everywhere you looked, everybody's just wearing the Spider-Man masks. Like I walked outside to go use the bathroom, and I had to stand next to this guy wearing the Miles Morales Spider-Man suit, but then he's wearing a tuxedo, like just a top half tuxedo, and he's wearing these fancy, really pointy like dress shoes, and he's just like, you could hear the him unzipping his suit. I'm like, how did you do that? And he's like, there's a specific like. Then we started talking
Real
about this.
Superman.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
while we're using the bathroom, we're just talking about like how his zipper has a separate zipper specifically for him to use the bathroom. I'm just like, a lot of thought came into the suit, didn't it? And he's like, yeah, I made it myself. I was like, no way.
That's like when I lived in Hollywood there, outside of the Grauman's Chinese Theater, there are people who, they create their own job, right? And it's just them dressed as a character, and they charging money for pictures. Like nobody has to hire you. You just kind of show up there. Now some of them, there's some like, hey, that's my corner. Or, I'm the only Spider-Man on this block. It's a thing, man. Yeah,
But I would
I
see-
knew a
see
girl
them
that
fight.
was, oh gosh, she was dressed, I think as Alice in Wonderland, and out there, and this is a real story. One of the guys doing the Star Tours there, that's where they have a little open van. It looks like a Barbie car or something, you know. It's like where you could put your little action figures down in the top, but they put real people in like that and drive them around to people's houses in Beverly Hills. So this guy's out there, he's either waiting for his writers or trying to get some. And this person I knew dressed as Alice in Wonderland, so she's got the skirt, and I see this guy, he said, oops, act like he dropped his flyers, you know, and he's up under her skirt. He's got the the cell phone. I'm like, how many, like, I said, hey, man, oh, funny part I forgot to mention, so she had an extra costume, because I think, maybe I was in between jobs there. So I'm like, yeah, let me, because I like to wear costumes anyway. So the only thing she had was a Jesus costume. So, so I'm there dressed like JC. She's Alice in Wonderland. This guy, he's got the flyers under, and then he puts his cell phone. So I'm getting on to him with this big fake red beard. Like, hey, what are you doing, you pervert? And he got so, I mean, I'm on to him. He got so scared, he picked up his phone. He ran off. We went and complained about him. They said, well, we'll search his phone. I'm like, there's no way he kept that video. But it's like, God, talk about a tangent. This doesn't have too much to do with the movie called, that's the dark side of it. But some of these people, they made hundreds, and it's based off of those bigger IPs. And that's in front of that historic Chinese theater there. So I mean, there's definitely in my opinion, there's definitely a place for movie theaters. I mean, if they're making that much, you got to figure it out. How are you gonna, 11 billion, and I can watch your movie for free or next week on a streamer. So there must still be appeal to the event.
Yeah.
I mean,
I tend to go to the movie theaters. Like if me and my friends we want to go hang out, we go to the mall, and it's like
that was what my next question about the mall.
yeah, because one of the malls near me, they have one of the fancy theaters, the IMAX theaters.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
a reason
those
to
those
go.
are the ones with the reclining chairs, but it's like they're super expensive. So it's like we just one year we bought Chipotle because we don't want to like buy the food in there because
Yeah.
the food's all right, but it's like
Got a burrito
it's like
in your sock.
$10 for every little thing.
Yeah.
So we just bought like
I
big
mean, that's
burritos
classic. That's-
and we just stuffed them in our pocket. We
Hell,
stuffed them
so
in our
there's
pockets.
some culture that
We just
lives
walked
on. Like, you know, when I was a kid, they used to have these drive-in theaters, right? And my dad, he was kind of a rugrat, right? So he didn't want to pay for like 4 people. So he's like, "Oh, you kids go out there and hop the fence." He drove in, and then so we're struggling trying to get over this fence with like a little 6-pack of hot root beers, and then got into the car. And but the drive-in theater, that's done. I mean, I think they have some somewhere. Did you ever go to a drive-in theater?
A couple of times. Man, I really gotta think about it. The last one I watched, this was actually recent. This was for that new Jurassic movie that came out a couple years back. Actually, it might have been last year. We went into a drive-in. That was fun because I went with a couple of friends and my dad. Because my dad, he's a Jurassic Park fanatic. Like he's seen every single movie. Like one of his friends bought him this little like toy Jeep, like those Hot Wheels Jeeps, but it was Jurassic Park themed. He has it like on display.
You gotta get him some
in his
Magic
garage.
cards. They just printed Magic the Gathering official Jurassic Park cards. He might like those.
I bet he would though. Yeah. We also, speaking of cars, we also bought him these it was these toy Fast and Furious cars because he loves Fast and Furious. So those are some real good movies. Like if they ever brought those back in theaters, I would have to go back for every single one.
Well, those at least started off pretty hype, and that created, like, or if not created, it exemplified and got people into car culture in a way
Yeah.
that it kind of used to be with like, oh, I got a Chevy, this or that, but it was like tuners and all the foreign makes. But that's another part of culture. I don't see anyone. Maybe it's the area, but I don't see anyone with the big wings or like really doing like an RX-7 or any of that anymore. Or even you know, back when people used to have their Dayton wire wheels or even Dubs. Like what happened to Dubs, dude? Are Dubs no good anymore? Sam, do you know are Dubs good? Can you still roll on Dubs?
I don't know.
Those- But yeah, I don't know. I guess we could probably start wrapping this one up. We yeah, we'll dig into it more next time. So, special thanks to you, Isaiah
Thank you.
Santiago. Thank you for coming out.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
to Samuel Robinson, our excellent producer. Thank you
Yeah.
for making this happen.
Good job.
So I guess it's all dead. This has been Subculture Death.